So once again, help me welcome the president of the Natural Law Institute, Brandon Hayes.
Thank you. Okay, I picked up this time block this morning, which is it's called "What Does Everybody Want?" So I started thinking about what everybody wants, and I'm under the impression that if you can't decide, you don't know. So the question becomes like, should we be seeking after what all these people want? And the answer is typically no. Most of these people present as children, right? They bring what is childish forward, not what is childlike. That's the difference between us and those who would like you to be dysfunctional. So I did break a sheet down into all of the political factions just to realize that you don't have a political faction unless you have a polity. So it's actually,
say that again?
You don't have a political faction unless you have a polity. And a polity contains people who have all of the political intuitions. So you have political special interest groups who are looking for a political monopoly to abuse you and your people at the behest of their people all the time. So all of your political factions are broken. They are worthless to attempt to follow because they are looking to extract on behalf of their people, and all of their policies and positions are based in their biases, right? For instance, the far left, they contain groups that present as children or present as dysfunctionals as such, and then they push forward the interests of those dysfunctionals to the rest of us. A great example is the alphabet soup people, the LGBTQ, etc. That is a special interest group, right, based on sexual preference that shouldn't have any political power at all, because there's nothing political about what they're doing. They're pursuing abuses in the polity. They're sexualizing children. They're robbing them of their innocence. They're exposing them to dysfunction, and their ideology has a suicide rate approaching half. Okay? So it's the...
Okay, that just ruined my day.
Yeah, well... So if people don't know what they want, well, we have to produce a polity where they can seek what they need, right? Most people don't have what they need, so there's no way to find out what it is you want because you're seeking things that should be easier for you to obtain. My impression of the present reality that we all reside is that everyone is cognitively burdened, that there's too much information all the time, and you're in a position to sort through too much of it, and you're drowning in it. Most of it is consumer nonsense targeted at people who do not have impulse control, right, at their own detriment.
So you're saying that they are saturated in information, but they lack a means of deciding how to organize, filter, and choose from that information. But you're also saying that they're being basically intentionally confused, or is it being confused, misdirected, or distracted?
Yes. Well, the confusion is in the alteration of value hierarchies. And people are being told that particular things are worth more than they are, or they're more virtuous than they are. So they're aligning they're structuring their lives to obtain things for status that aren't actually, they're not actually improving anybody or their station. They're being incentivized to consume one another, which is, it's killing them.
When they lack the mindfulness, because we don't train that anymore, to know what to ignore. Because that's actually more important than knowing what to pay attention to, is what to ignore.
Your brain works to filter things out. So with this project, what I try to do is afford people the means to view the world in a different light, from a different perspective angle, because that alters how you see your futures.
Before you jump to the next point, just a thought hit me while you're talking. We've reached a point where we have fiat virtue. It's not attached to actual value anymore.
Oh my God. That's brilliant. That's evil. It's true.
What everybody wants is to belong, right? To have a place, which is why we approach it as duty. The most important ROIs are civilizational rights, obligations, and alienations, right? And the more duties that your polity can pick up, the more rights they can offer to people, right? So the more agency your people have, the more free they can be. So we are telling people that, well, you should pursue the life path of those who are self-determined, where we should be sorting people for fitness into self-determination, because most people cannot think. We know that most people don't know, but most people cannot think. They don't have the cognitive horsepower to do it. They are automatically dependents, right? Because they can't make good choices.
When did you figure that? Because I was 25 before I figured that out.
I think I was close to 30 as well.
Why does it take us so long to figure that out? It's because, I mean, I was literally depressed for like a year when I realized what was going on around me in the world. So is that?
I thought people were stupid when I was young. I was just like, oh, they're just all dumb.
I thought they were evil, which was worse.
That is worse. I wasn't surrounded by people like that, but the way I see things currently is the nations are dissolving. Right, we're moving into a global order where the groups are changing from nations where people are intact and in touch with one another to these political special interest groups, right? Nations that pursue business and global commerce in a certain fashion, as opposed to producing genetic capital and creating excellence. I'm under the impression that excellence will be brought back by summary excommunications or exorcisms and executions. Excellence comes back on the back of those pursuits.
Is your purpose of your presentation to collect
Witty quotes that are genius? Because that's what I can't write this stuff down fast enough. I have to pull up my laptop.
Well, it actually is a problem with how the way that I talk to people has become a problem, because I go, well, I've never heard someone say so much that I didn't know in so short of a time, right? And then they don't know what to do after I talk to them. Right. So I am sorting through that currently. I went through this sheet about, what people want. What they need is the law. They need to know what the law is and when the law is being violated. We wouldn't have went through any of the horror that we went through, which the best part of the COVID debacle was that it proved we can change this place top down. We can just tell these people what to do and they will change, because they changed, they maladapted under the conditions, the authoritarian conditions over 4 years, right? They harmed themselves because they were told to. We can at least tell them to do things that are good for themselves and then enforce those things. But that doesn't seem beyond the scope of our ability. And with our technological advances, it should be able to go swiftly. The Marxists took decades, millennia to walk through the institutions. We should be able to do it in a fucking weekend. You just show up.
And it is a public health emergency.
It is a public health emergency.
So I just want to, I'm sorry. You say every time, there's two things that happen. Usually he says something brilliant, and then but we could, and then he says, yeah, I was already thinking that. I think my study of law in American society is it takes less than 10 years for the population to adapt to a revolution change in policy. And if we did what you're recommending, which was we made people understand this is the law, which is a via negativa, right? It doesn't tell them what they have to do, right? That it would take less than half a generation.
Absolutely. They don't know that they want what we have to offer them, right? And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to say, hey, we have no mature men or adults. You guys require a rite of passage. Escort an illegal to the borders immediately. We can fix this place overnight. This is an easy place to fix, right? We are self-determined people by self-determined means. Anybody who stands in the way of that is opposing you. They're opposing the law. They're opposing the only commands that exist in reality. The law is the only thing that commands anything. It tells you what to do. Right now, it's telling us to equilibrate this place, to make right the wrongs of the past, to create the landscape of justice and liberty that our founders wanted. So to become those new founding fathers, we have to afford people the incentives to do it for themselves, to be self-determined. And there has never been a weaker-willed, more drug-addled, backward, dysfunctional set of people ever to exist. And by a long shot, too, because we've been multiplying them since the 70s like rabbits. So what people should realize is they can have what they want if they follow the law. You can have what you want if you follow the law, right? Legal, lawful, like common law, and then natural law, right, is your series. Legislation and rules and mandates, and none of that is law. We have common law. Any rules, like legislation, mandates, etc., that they put in place, you can bring a common lawsuit, right, against the state for infringing upon your rights. Your government's job is to ensure your rights. That's what they do. If they're doing anything else, they're not being your government. The people here hate government so much because they have incompetent government. But I've never seen a people demonstrate needing governance as much as the people who live currently. So to argue against government when you need governance that much it's an incredible sight to see.
That's interesting. Do they need, I'm sorry.
Do they need governing or do they need parenting? I mean, because
Is there a difference?
Yeah, no. I'm asking. I proposed the question for a reason, so you'd address it.
Yeah.
And the key is they need paternal governing, not maternal governing.
Correct. We want to push the maternal instinct down away from governance, because governance is action at scale where you have to deal with men. So we just push the instincts and the intuitions into the realm of care in society and the church. And this is your place. This is where you have a say. This is where we deal with children. Anything above that, your intuitions and instincts are a hindrance to moving forward in the realm. Right? You're going to hobble, we can be compassionate to our enemies. And
I always view it as our key thing is the maximization of what individual responsibility for private and common in the West, right? So that's what we do, right? And all this is the thing I look at it as the feminine's job is to mature you send her nervous system over you to the point where you can handle the responsibility, and then the masculine's job is to demand that responsibility be expressed by you. Is that a good enough demarcation, do you think?
Yeah, I would use something very similar.
Thank you for using masculine and feminine.
You guys are beating it in.
No, seriously. As a female outlier, I appreciate that, because it's very difficult for those of us who are cognitively masculine women, because we're with you. You know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We're not caretakers. You don't want us being caretakers. So yeah, I appreciate that distinction. Thank you.
Most people are what we would consider feminine in cognition, because they live in the now, right? And we go through a maturity curve throughout our life. So you're actually feminine minded as you're a child all the way through your childhood until you mature into an adult. Biologically we're extreme women, right? So you have to move through all of the past being what a woman is into. We mature more deeply than women do. The masculine matures more deeply into
its... And they criticize us for taking longer.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We got farther to go.
Oh, we should implement a systematic fix to the compatibility problem, because we have obviously dysfunctional people who are 30 plus, right? So anyone in their 20s who is a man should forego women for like half a dozen years and work with other men. And then they should choose women who are roughly 10 years younger than them now, right? Too young to marry now, right? To get the most value, right? For their vigor. And then us functionals, we can re-equilibrate the dysfunctional sexual market that is not going to go away. You have a bunch of broken people that exist currently. They need people to be around and be compatible with too, or else they will cause you problems. So we're going to have to make compromises, which I don't like to make, but you have the people you have now, under the duress they're under now. If I could get anything across to people, it's get out of the way. If you're stressed about the fight you're in, you're not competent to fight it. I'm not stressed to talk in front of people about the things that I know. I don't have a problem going into a board meeting or a political meeting and telling people that they're stupid, that their ideas are dumb and wrong, right?
You do it and you get away with it. It's amazing.
Everyone wants limits, and when they talk to you, they want you to agree with them, so they feel it's not their fault. Well, why would I? What am I going to do? Take what is owed to me from them? They got nothing. These people got nothing. The people who have nothing are pitted against each other, right? In a war, and it's the people who have everything that are fighting their own war, and we're just a casualty in it.
Blame what children do.
Blame is what children do, exactly.
If you're stupid and you find out you're stupid, it's actually comforting because you realize that it's not that you're a bad person, you're just dumb.
It is better. It is better. You know, I watched the roast of Tom Brady. Did anyone watch that? Did you see it? Yeah, very degenerate, and there's a lot of ideological tropes that are bad for people. But Rob Gronkowski was hilarious, right? Because they were always digging on him for being stupid, and he's just comfortable in his stupidness, which is it's an excellent thing to see.
Role model.
Yeah, yes, please. So we're doing what we need to do to give people what we want, what they want, excuse me. And to your point, Curt, like I don't have a problem bringing difficult truths to people who typically don't swallow them well. I've never had an argument where a woman was like, I'm out of here, right? And I tell them things like, you shouldn't be involved in anything that is dangerous. Like, you're worth more than us.
So how I would be interesting to.
I've now that you've given me the idea, be interesting to do a bunch of videos you presenting to people and showing how not to be either submissive or aggressive, but be neutrally informative, because that's what you do. I mean, you're doing it now, right? And so when you bring people a harsh message, you can't be apologetic because it makes your message weak. You can't be a dominant because then you're threatening. You just be parental, right? Which is saying this is good for you.
I'm sorry that they don't know.
What?
I'm sorry that they don't know. I'm sorry, we failed you. Like we didn't teach you what you need to know up to this point in your life, and you need this information to move through your life in a balanced fashion, please.
We need to address their needs first, not their wants. They don't even know what they need. Yeah, as the adults, we need to provide.
Yeah, I open,
and we
but they
need
don't
to
know what they
insist
want.
upon that, just as you would with a child. This
Correct.
is what you need. I know better than you for your sake.
Yeah.
For your own good. Yeah.
That's how I explain it to my son, right? Oh, why? Well, because it's better for you, right, in the long run, and I know because I'm your dad. Right? That's right. Work locally to create community so that people abandon the social groups that do not serve them. Everybody enters into politics to have a social group. They enter into a club to have a social group. They enter into a social group like that because they lack community that gives them the things they're looking to get from that social group. So all of our organizations are dysfunctional because we lack family and community. Because we don't have those needs that family and community offer people, right? They seek them out in inappropriate places, right? They're seeking to be fulfilled and they're not. So the only way that they get anything out of this world is to win, and winning on our landscape is always win-lose. And someone's getting crushed, and these are our people. We can't afford for our people to lose, right? Business competition, subverting business competition in a marketplace is unlawful, right? Markets shouldn't be free, they should be lawful. And then it constrains competition to the increase of value between organizations as opposed to competing on price point. Hey, well, we'll drop the price as low as possible and I'll undercut you and I'll hire people who will work for less and so on. So the political faction problem could be solved by those who would like to have homogenous nations taking on people from the various political organizations, inviting them in. Be like, hey, you belong with us. We don't have any of these instincts with us. We need people who are going to run our churches and so on. It's the purity spiraling on the far right that kills them. And it's the shrilling. It's the shrilling on the left. If I could say something that most people don't, is I wouldn't ask for people to unite. I think that's ridiculous, and there's too many of us. But the right, those on the right and the far right, etc., they can certainly align against the left. You don't have to agree on anything other than we have a very specific enemy that we need to do away with first. We federate, confederate, align.
We don't need to be united. We need to be aligned. United in that we all believe the same thing or whatever. We have to align in the pursuit of the conquest of an enemy. Okay, that's brilliant, because that's the hard problem for the right, is all this is the factualization.
You don't got to live with the guy that you're fighting with afterwards, right?
I was going to say, we have two words in the heathen tradition to describe, I think, what's being talked about here. The first one is frith, which is peace between kith and kin. Grith is truce between those with whom you are not genetically connected to or close kin. So I think what we're asking for here is grith between those who maybe, we're not perfectly compatible with, but are aligned enough with, that we can cooperate towards a common good, a common goal. That's what we need.
I want people to be able to measure, and their reciprocity is something that scales up and down. I mean, it iterates, and you can be reciprocal with yourself. You can be reciprocal with your family, despite the fact that there's no overarching lawful right body that's going to be like, oh, you weren't reciprocal in this situation. So I would tell people to live in the present like most people do, and equilibrate irreciprocities when they happen, as soon as they happen, or as soon as someone attempts to manipulate you into a situation that is not voluntary. You are saying something. As soon as you feel like you are not fully informed about a situation or a contract, you ask questions. You go, hey, I don't feel like I know what I'm supposed to know about this here. If you take a loss, right, take someone to court. Right? Productive is part of the law. So, you want to say something, Brad? All right. So we can equilibrate all the small infractions, right, all the small irreciprocities in our lives. That gives people plenty to do, right? And that'll set us on a footing to move forward, right, in a lawful, pro-social manner. We do a good job at enumerating all of the antisocial behaviors. So when you see them, point them out. We don't act like that here, right? Most people will back down. People who stand up to people, they know. Most people will not fight you. Right? Most dogs will not bite you. Right? You can pursue them and threaten them and posture over them. They will back down. People are the same, men and women both. And the ones that posture the hardest, what do we call them? The Karens, people who, oh, you got to put your mask on and so on. They're the people who are the weakest. Right? They want that virtue signal of power. As soon as you stand up to people like that, they crumble. They absolutely crumble. So what I want is the law, right? Everywhere. And it's a very simple thing. So everyone should be pursuing it. And if they're not, help them on their way. That's our job, right? That's our job as the new founding fathers, the patriarchs of the coming nations. Anyone else have questions? So I feel like we beat this one. We beat this one to death. Yeah, please.
It's not a question. I'll just add a detail that when people are telling you what they want, they're not telling you what they want. They're signaling a group membership. And if I don't say I want these things, my group will ostracize me.
Yes. Yeah, excellent point.
It's completely stupid trying to satisfy that.
You can tell someone that, like, hey, actually, that's just something the people you associate with want you to say, and you don't have to say it here, right? Or we don't even afford people to say it here.
So yeah, what they want is group membership, and otherwise they have no idea what they want.
We have a better group for you, is what you tell them. They're coming right behind you, Noah.
Any other questions? No.
The vast majority of young female clients that I've worked with, I ask them right at the beginning, what do you want? about 95% of them have never been asked that question in their entire life. And they don't even know how to respond to it. And it can take half an hour to get through well, my mom said I should want this, and my school counselor said I should want this, and my dad said I should do whatever I want. And half an hour just to get down to, but what do you want?
I love that example so much. When I bring our work to people, I ask them how I can help you. Like, hey, how I can help you, and I get the sarcastic, like, oh, could you give me $1 million answered right second most, but most people don't know. They don't know how I could help them. It's like, hey, I'm offering you help. What could I do for you that you need done? Which means either like you don't know what you're pursuing, or you're buying everything, right? You're not earning anything, you're buying it, or you're not doing anything hard. If you're doing something hard, you need help. I need help. People better contact me and give me some help. I need a lot of it. But people don't know. Please, Joel.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what Martin said there, and it made me think of this bias towards thinking versus feeling, and how you can't really undo that biological wiring, right? It's there. It's always going to be there. And so I'm wondering, is it valid to say, well, what I want is group membership? And so sometimes when we're asking, hey, what do you want? They're just not realizing, well, I actually want group membership. And then if we can detect that, is that a valid want? And I think
it absolutely is.
Okay.
All the dysfunctional people, right? The people on the left who signal dysfunction, right? The hair and the getting fat and body positivity and all that. They want to be accepted for who they are, and we need to tell them that they can be better. People will accept you if you try to be a better person, but you're not. You're trying to tell everybody that you're perfect, and you aren't, because none of us are. All right? We are striving for that.
I live my life thinking you're perfect.
Oh, well, I hope everyone thinks that, but I know for sure living with me that I am not.
So is part of this, yeah, there's the law, like here's the law, you need the law. Is the other half of it, here, you need a group where you can, like you were saying,
yes.
where you can.
The law is negativa. You need to build your own positiva with your people. You need to choose what you ought to do together, because that's you and your group being self-determined. That's you making the choices. I don't want to decide for people. Then I'm on the hook for what they decided, right? Hey, you told me to do that. Right? You suggested I do this.
1,000 Nations Blue.
This is why I advocate so strongly for every man who has the competence and the knowledge and the ability to do this to extend beyond his kith and kin, to be one of these points of light, because we have so many people who are in need. We can't be everywhere, so we need everybody who can do this in their own communities to start doing this. And again, I say this to the men because even though I'm a cognitively masculine woman, I have found these people do not respond to a woman trying to apply this as they would a man because of the sexual dimorphism. We cannot command that respect for authority that you guys can. So it has to be the men who do this. We cognitively masculine women can assist you. We can provide you with tools. We can counsel you. We can be a part of the war room strategy and all of that. But it's you men who have to be those pillars in the community that these people see, so that they know the fathers where they can go to get that fathering.
We deny biology. Right? It's the same in the dog world. I did behavior problems all the time. The amount of lesbian couples that have behavior problems with their dogs is unreal. Right? The dogs know. Right? You're not a dude. You're not gonna hurt me.
A lot of times men think, I'm not ready yet to be a mentor.
Yes.
You are absolutely ahead of some other man in some other area. Go find that guy who's one step behind you and pull him up.
Yes.
Our people need encouragement. And it's kind of stupid how little encouragement they need, and knowing how little they need and then watching what's happening in the real means no one's even giving them a little. Because I know they only need a little push and they'll do it. But no one's pushing them, right? That's our job. You got to start pushing.
Thank you very much.